Alright guys, what is up? It's your boy Bill Chick, and holy smokes, are you ready for this one? Welcome to our channel. Seriously, thank you for clicking, you guys are the best. Today, we're diving into the vibrant world of 1980s nostalgia. We're talking about a time before smartphones, before the internet as we know it, a time when arcades were king, and Saturday morning cartoons were a sacred ritual. So buckle up, buttercups, because this is gonna be a wild ride. Get ready to relive the magic of the 80s. Whether you lived through it and want to take a trip down memory lane, or you're just curious about what all the fuss is about, I guarantee you're going to have a blast. Let's do this. Alright, first up, let's just soak in the general vibe of the 80s. Popular culture back then was a whole different beast, man. It was this explosion of color and sound and just energy. Think about it, this was the decade that gave us some of the most iconic stuff ever. From the way people talked to the way they dressed, everything felt like it was turned up to 11. Remember the TV shows? Oh my god, the TV shows. Shows like The A-Team, Knight Rider with Kit, and Miami Vice. Then you had sitcoms like Cheers and The Cosby Show. These weren't just shows, they were cultural events that everyone talked about the next day. And the toys, Transformers, He-Man, Cabbage Patch Kids, Care Bears, My Little Pony, and the Rubik's Cube. It wasn't just about the big blockbuster stuff either, slap bracelets, friendship pins, Garbage Pail Kids cards. It was a time of genuine creativity and a lot of weirdness that just somehow worked. The events of the 80s also shaped everything. Think about the fall of the Berlin Wall, Live Aid, and the launch of the first space shuttles. These weren't just news headlines, they were moments that defined a generation. And the slang, gag me with a spoon, grody to the max, totally tubular, the impact of these cultural touchstones is still felt today. Fashion trends from the 80s keep coming back, maybe a little updated, but you can see the roots. It just goes to show how powerful and influential that decade was. Let's talk about something near and dear to my heart, video games. The 80s were the golden age of gaming. The arcade explosion happened. Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Space Invaders icons. Then the revolution moved into our living rooms. The Atari 2600, Pitfall, Space Invaders, Combat. Nintendo came along with the NES, Super Mario Bros., The Legend of Zelda, Metroid. The legacy of 80s video games is massive. Alright, turn up the volume, you guys, because we absolutely have to talk about 80s music. If there's one thing that instantly screams 80s, it's the soundtrack. The music of this decade was so diverse, so iconic, and just so much fun. Pop music in the 80s was ruled by absolute legends. Michael Jackson, the king of pop, dropped Thriller, and the world just stopped. Madonna burst onto the scene, constantly reinventing herself and pushing boundaries. Prince, with his incredible musicianship and unique style, was just on another planet. Whitney Houston's voice was simply breathtaking. But it wasn't just about the mega pop stars. The 80s saw this incredible explosion of new wave music. Bands like Duran Duran, The Police, Depeche Mode, The Cure, Blondie, they brought synthesizers to the forefront. And speaking of rock, hair metal bands took over arenas with their power ballads and guitar solos. Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Poison. The bigger the hair, the tighter the pants, the better. One of the most exciting things about 80s music was the birth and rise of hip-hop. Artists like Run DMC, LL Cool J, Beastie Boys, Public Enemy. They weren't just making music, they were telling stories. And you couldn't talk about 80s music without mentioning the one-hit wonders. Come On Eileen by Dexy's Midnight Runners, Take On Me by A-Ha, 99 Luftballons by Nena, Tainted Love by Soft Cell. The way we listened to music also changed dramatically. Cassette tapes were king. Making mixtapes for your friends or your crush was like a serious art form. The Sony Walkman, being able to take your music with you wherever you went, mind-blowing. The 80s music scene was just this incredible melting pot of styles and sounds. Okay guys, if we're talking 80s music, we absolutely, positively have to talk about the game changer, the revolution, the one and only MTV Music Television. Seriously, the impact of MTV on music, on pop culture, on how we consumed media, it was monumental. Before MTV, you mostly just music. MTV changed all that. Suddenly, music had a face, a style, a story that went beyond just the song. Artists weren't just musicians anymore, they had to be performers, actors, visual artists. The music video became an art form in itself. The early days of MTV were kinda wild, man. They didn't have a huge library of videos at first, so you'd see the same ones over and over again. The VJs, video jockeys like Martha Quinn, Nina Blackwood, Mark Goodman, Alan Hunter, and JJ Jackson, they became celebrities in their own right. MTV wasn't just playing videos, it was shaping taste. A song could become a massive hit almost overnight if its video got into heavy rotation on MTV. Think about Michael Jackson's Thriller video. It wasn't just a music video, it was a 14-minute short film directed by John Landis. MTV helped break new wave bands, rock bands, and eventually even hip-hop artists into the mainstream. The channel also influenced fashion and style like crazy. Beyond just music videos, MTV started producing its own original programming. The legacy of MTV is undeniable. It really did make people scream, "I want my MTV." Alright, fashionistas and, well, everyone else, because 80s fashion was something you just couldn't ignore. If the music was loud, the fashion was even louder. So let's dive into the world of leg warmers, shoulder pads, and acid wash everything. Neon everywhere, pinks, greens, yellows, oranges. If it was bright enough to hurt your eyes, it was perfect for the 80s. Then there were the shoulder pads. They were in everything, blouses, jackets, dresses, even sweaters. The goal was to have shoulders so wide you looked like a linebacker. And let's not forget leg warmers. Thanks to movies like Flashdance and the aerobics craze, leg warmers became a must-have accessory. Athleisure wear was huge too. Tracksuits, often velour, often brightly colored, were not just for the gym. Denim in the 80s was an adventure. Acid wash jeans were all the rage. The more faded and splotchy, the better. Ripped jeans also became popular. Hairstyles were a whole other chapter of 80s extravagance. Big hair was in. We're talking perms, teasing, crimping, and an ocean of hairspray to keep it all in place. And accessories. Swatch watches with their colorful plastic designs, often wearing more than one at a time. Big, chunky plastic jewelry. Ray-Ban Wayfarer sunglasses, thanks to movies like Risky Business. It was a time of bold experimentation and self-expression through clothing. Looking back, 80s fashion was a wild ride. It reflected the energy and optimism of the decade. Alright, movie buffs, grab your popcorn because the 80s delivered some of the most iconic, most beloved, and most downright awesome movies of all time. Think about the sheer number of classics that came out in the 80s. Spielberg gave us E.T. and Indiana Jones. Lucas continued Star Wars with The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Action heroes like Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and Willis dominated. John Hughes defined the teen movie genre. The Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Goonies, Back to the Future, Ghostbusters. Horror movies reached new heights. Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, and Chucky. The 80s also produced incredible dramas. Rain Man, Amadeus, Platoon, and Terms of Endearment. 80s movies still influence today. Modern filmmakers cite 80s classics. We see remakes, reboots, and sequels. Storytelling techniques and character archetypes were perfected. It was a time of incredible creativity, a library of films that continue to inspire. Next movie night, pick an 80s classic. Alright guys, we're nearing the end of our epic 80s journey, but I've saved a couple of, let's call them topics for last. First up, something universally beloved, cats. Now cats have always been awesome, obviously, but 80s cat culture had its own special flavor. Think about it, this was the decade of Garfield. That lazy, lasagna-loving, Monday-hating orange cat was everywhere. Comic strips, TV specials, plush toys, suction cup to car windows. Garfield was a feline superstar. It wasn't just Garfield, though. There was a general appreciation for cats that seemed to permeate pop culture. Remember those posters with kittens in baskets or hanging from tree branches with cheesy motivational sayings like "hang in there"? Yeah, those were peak 80s office decor. Cat-themed sweaters, cat-themed jewelry, cat-themed everything. It was a good time to be a cat person. There were also some iconic fictional cats beyond Garfield. Heathcliff, Azrael from the Smurfs, and Jonesy the cat in Alien. What a decade. And just like that, our DeLorean has hit 88 miles per hour and brought us back to the present. Wow, what a trip, right? Seriously guys, thanks for joining us on this nostalgic journey. From the totally tubular trends and the revolutionary video games, to the unforgettable music and the game-changing MTV, it's clear that the 80s were a decade that just keeps on giving. Even the fashion, as wild as it was, had its own unique charm. And don't even get me started on those classic movies again. The 80s were more than just a time period, they were a vibe, an explosion of creativity and fun that left a huge mark on the world. So, what were your favorite 80s memories? Did I miss anything totally crucial? Let me know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your favorite 80s memories in the comments below. Thanks again for watching, you guys are the best. Until next time, stay awesome, and don't be a stranger. Peace out.